We must do better. Mankind must become better. Good evening. It's Diane Sare, LaRouche independent candidate for U.S. Senate, and in the state of New York against Kirsten Gillibrand, who is currently more than filling the seat that was left by Lady Macbeth Hillary Clinton when she went on to become Obama's Secretary of State. I want to clarify something because there seems to be a lot of willful confusion and disinformation in the American news media about what the International Court of Justice did on Friday, including by people who really should know better. I don't know why Colonel Douglas Macgregor claims the United States is not a signatory to the International Court of Justice. This is not the International Criminal Court. This is the Court of the United Nations, the International Court of Justice, and the elected president of the court is an American judge. So obviously we are a party to their decisions, and there are certain legal actions that should be able to be taken once they conclude that Israel indeed has committed genocide in Gaza. They have not concluded yet. They want to do a full investigation, but they believe there is evidence that Israel intends to commit genocide and therefore have issued certain requisites, demands that Israel must meet, and they want to report on Israel's progress. So I would like you to hear Judge Donahue with your own ears. You will hear she is an American. You will also hear the word genocide used. She is talking about the 1948 Genocide Convention, in fact. So please stop trying to deny it. And no one who is denying that genocide is occurring right now against the people in Gaza should ask yourself how the German people could have allowed Adolf Hitler to exterminate 6 million Jews and tens of millions of other people, including many Russians, many residents of the Soviet Union, namely 27 million people. Because if you're condoning this, then you are doing exactly what they did and worse, because it's been presented before the eyes of the world. So I'm going to go now to part of the hearing so you can watch and listen with your own ears.
In light of the foregoing, the court considers that there is urgency in the sense that there is a real and imminent risk that irreparable prejudice will be caused to the rights found by the court to be plausible before it gives its final decision. The court concludes, on the basis of the aforementioned considerations, that the conditions required by its statute for it to indicate provisional measures are met. It is therefore necessary, pending its final decision, for the court to indicate certain measures in order to protect the rights claimed by South Africa that the court has found to be plausible. The court recalls that it has the power under its statute, when a request for provisional measures has been made, to indicate measures that are in whole or in part other than those requested. In the present case, having considered the terms of the provisional measures requested by South Africa and the circumstances of the case, the court finds that the measures indicated need not be identical to those requested. The court considers that, with regard to the present situation, Israel must, in accordance with its obligations under the Genocide Convention, in relation to Palestinians in Gaza, take all measures within its power to prevent the commission of all acts within the scope of Article 2 of the Convention, in particular, A, killing members of the group, B, causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group, C, deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part, and D, imposing measures intended to prevent births within the group. The court recalls that these acts fall within the scope of Article 2 of the Convention when they are committed with the intent to destroy in whole or in part the group as such.
So just in case you missed that, that is Article 2 of the Genocide Convention, which she is saying that the rights that South Africa is claiming are plausibly being violated. In other words, it is plausible that Israel is committing genocide, and that's why the court is acting.
Fact that its military forces do not commit any of the aforementioned acts. The court is also of the view that Israel must take measures within its power to prevent and punish the direct and public incitement to commit genocide in relation to the members of the Palestinian group in the Gaza Strip. The court further considers that Israel must take immediate and effective measures to enable the provision of urgently needed basic services and humanitarian assistance to address the adverse conditions of life faced by Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. Israel must also take effective measures to prevent the destruction and ensure the preservation of evidence related to allegations of acts within the scope of Article 2 and Article 3 of the Genocide Convention against members of the Palestinian group in the Gaza Strip. Regarding the provisional measure requested by South Africa that Israel must submit a report to the court on all measures taken to give effect to the order, the court recalls that it has the power, reflected in Article 78 of the Rules of Court, to request the parties to provide information on any matter connected with the implementation of any provisional measures it has indicated. In view of the specific provisional measures it has decided to indicate, the court considers that Israel must submit a report to the court on all measures taken to give effect to this order within 1 month as from the date of this order. The report so provided shall then be communicated to South Africa, which shall be given the opportunity to submit to the court its comments thereon. The court recalls that its orders on provisional measures under Article 41 of the statute have binding effect and thus create international legal obligations for any party to whom the provisional measures are addressed. The court reaffirms that the decision given in the present proceedings in no way prejudges the question of the jurisdiction of the court to deal with the merits of the case or any questions related to the admissibility of the application or to the merits themselves. It leaves unaffected the right of the governments of the Republic of South Africa and the State of Israel to submit arguments in respect of these questions. The order then states that the court deems it necessary to emphasize that all parties to the conflict in the Gaza Strip are bound by international humanitarian law. It is gravely concerned about the fate of the hostages abducted during the attack in Israel on 7 October 2023 and held since then by Hamas and other armed groups, and calls for their immediate and unconditional release. I shall now read out the operative part of the order. For these reasons, the court indicates the following provisional measures. 1. By 15 votes to 2, the State of Israel shall, in accordance with its obligations under the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide in relation to the Palestinians in Gaza, take all measures within its power to prevent the commission of all acts within the scope of Article 2 of the Convention, in particular, A, killing members of the group, B, causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group, C, deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part, and D, imposing measures intended to prevent births within the group. In favor, President Donahue, Vice President Gevorgian, Judges Tomka, Abraham, Benuna, Youssef, Shway, Bandari, Robinson, Salam, Iwasawa, Nolte, Charlesworth, Brandt, Judge Ad hoc Moseneke. Against, Judge Sebatinde, Judge Ad hoc Barak. By 15 votes to 2, the State of Israel shall ensure with immediate effect that its military does not commit any acts described in point 1 above.
So Israel has been told by the court that they are not to commit acts that are listed in Article 2 of the 1948 Genocide Convention. And not only that, that Israel has to submit a report within 30 days of how they are not doing that, how they are preventing genocide, how they are supplying humanitarian aid, including aid necessary to allow women to give birth in healthy conditions. That means electricity, water, sanitation, nutrition, housing. And South Africa has the right to respond to Israel's report and to confirm whether this indeed addresses the legitimate grievance brought by South Africa. So, and she said that the court does have this is a legal question. They don't have enforcement capability. They can't deploy an army, but there are legal questions involved, including, I suspect, the role of the United States, the Biden administration in supplying weapons to Israel with the knowledge that they will be used for genocidal purposes. We'll see how that goes. So what's supposed to happen now, as far as I understand, is on Wednesday, a resolution will be brought before the Security Council, probably again for a ceasefire. Will the United States be brazen enough to veto this yet again and go down in history as enabling and participating in genocide? That's a question. If that occurs, I'm not sure that the United States will survive, because if American leaders think that genocide is an acceptable action, what guarantees that the people of the United States are safe? The world used to have a higher moral standard, at least the Western world. It looks like South Africa has a far higher standard of morality than the United States at this moment. And South Africa demonstrated that by what they did in a number of cases, but most recently, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission and the fact that South Africa is a unified nation. Not yet perfect, not without some internal difficulties like most nations on the planet. But I just wanted to get that out because I actually was shocked that Colonel Macgregor said that genocide was not used. It is explicit, and that the United States is not a party to the International Court of Justice. That is not true. So Americans, we have the obligation to stop our government from participating in genocide. And that's why I'm running for US Senate. But the election is too late. We have to get action immediately.